Today I'm going to be making a batch of root beer. This particular recipe I'm going to make from root beer extract. This is my first batch of root beer. I've been brewing beer for many years and decided to give root beer a try. As you know, if you've done research online, there's a lot of different ways you can make root beer from scratch using berries and roots and flowers and twigs and leaves. I don't know, but this is a simple recipe. I've done a lot of research online and I've seen people do it many different ways using sugar and brown sugar and molasses. I've even seen some that had maple syrup. But anyway, this particular one is going to be 4 gallons, and I'm using 2 pounds of brown sugar. I'm going to be using 2 pounds of white sugar. Again, the root beer extract. This particular one is made by Rainbow Flavors. It's old-fashioned homebrew root beer. Makes 4 gallons. I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, a pound of honey, and I got 4 gallons of spring water. It's funny, I coach a youth soccer team, and we're having a team party, and one of the parents had nominated me to make root beer. She had heard that I made beer and asked if I would make root beer for the party, so I figured it'd be a pretty fun thing to do and try, and hopefully it turns out pretty good. Like I said, I've done a lot of research online, and this is kind of a collaboration of a few different recipes that I've seen, and I'm going to kind of show you step by step the process. I'm going to be kegging this root beer and force carbonating it with CO2. Now the secret to kegging and force carbonating, soft drinks and sodas, is to carbonate most of the water first, because the sugar content is so high, makes it more difficult to carbonate the finished beverage. At least that's what I've read online. So I thought that was a pretty good idea. So I'm going to basically pour 3 gallons of water into my sanitized keg. And after I fill the 3 gallons, I'm going to be refrigerating it. And I'm going to pressurize it by setting my CO2 regulator to 25 pounds. I've heard that you have better results if you shake the keg vigorously. So once I'm done adding the 3 gallons, like I said, I'm going to force carbonate. I'm going to set the pressure regulator to 25 pounds and shake the keg until you no longer hear the gas running from the regulator. And then I'm going to refrigerate the keg for 24 hours. After that, you will prepare your sugars and your sugar substitute with the 1 gallon of water. And we'll be getting into that on the next step. This is my beer fridge in the garage. I got a 2-tap system I drilled out in this fridge. Anyway, I have put the keg of water on the right. This is a batch of beer I have going, but I got my 2 kegs, my CO2. But the keg on the right is the 3 gallons of water, and I have set the pressure regulator at 25. Shook it real good until I could hear the gas stop, and we're gonna let that carbonate for 24 hours. Let's see, what's my fridge? It's about 40 degrees. So like I said, we're gonna carbonate this water for 24 hours, and then tomorrow we'll be adding in all the sugars and and honey and the rest of the ingredients with the remaining 1 gallon of water. Okay, 24 hours later, I have force carbonated the 3 gallons of water and refrigerated it for 24 hours. Now we're making our mixture of the sugars. Basically, I've boiled 1 gallon of water, took it off the heat, and we're going to stir in our ingredients. My son Christopher is going to help out with that. So here, first we're putting in vanilla extract, 2 teaspoons. All the way, pour some more. Get it all out. Give it a stir. Here, you can lay the spoon on that. That's good. Now we're going to put in, I substituted, I'm going to use, I had some priming sugar left over, corn sugar from my beer. This is 2 cups of priming sugar. I'm going to substitute 2 cups of priming sugar for 2 cups of regular white table sugar. So pour that all in there, nice and easy. You're good. Alright, and give it a good stir. And then we're going to do 2 cups of regular white sugar. Pour that in. Give that a stir. Let's go ahead and add the brown sugar. Brown sugar, this is dark brown. It's a 2-pound bag, which is equal to 4 cups. Pour that whole thing in there. And it starts smelling good. And what do we got left? Honey.
Should I pour it all in there?
Yep, this is 1 pound of honey, which is equal to 2 cups. And we're going to stir this up real good. And when it's ready, I'm going to refrigerate this 1 gallon mixture with the ingredients overnight. Get it to the same temperature as the water in the keg. And then we're going to add it to the keg and force carbonate it some more. Okay, so I refrigerated my mixture overnight. This is the sugars. I pulled the keg out of the fridge. Basically what I'm going to do here is release the CO2 pressure on here. I'm going to open it up, pour the mixture in. Okay, so I've poured in my ingredients, and now I'm going to add the root beer extract. It won't focus in. I'm going to add this in. I'm going to shake up the keg real good, put it back on the CO2 at 25 pounds, and let it go for a few days, and I'll let you know how it turns out. Okay, so I'm going to test this out. It's been in the tank for about 3 days now. I bought a little handheld spout and a new piece of line. One thing that I've found out in my research is once you use your beer equipment for root beer, that you want to keep it primarily for root beer. As far as your taps, your O-rings and whatnot, the keg's okay. You could just sanitize that out real good, but evidently the root beer flavor and the smell permeates into the line and into the the O-rings in your fittings. So if you're going to keep using the equipment for beer in the future, just use separate lines, separate taps. I have my 2-tap system that's going to be designated just for beer, and this little setup will just be for root beer. So I'm going to tap this and see how it turned out. Got a nice carbonation, nice head. I'm going to sample this. That's good. That's very good. Nice full round mouth feel. It's not too watered down. Not too bad for my first batch. I'm digging it. I think in the future I'm gonna try doing a different batch, more from scratch, using no extracts. So cheers, Prost. Today I'm going to be making a batch of root beer. This particular recipe I'm going to make from root beer extract. This is my first batch of root beer. I've been brewing beer for many years and decided to give root beer a try. As you know, if you've done research online, there's a lot of different ways you can make root beer from scratch using berries and roots and flowers and twigs and leaves. I don't know, but this is a simple recipe. I've done a lot of research online and I've seen people do it many different ways using sugar and brown sugar and molasses. I've even seen some that had maple syrup. But anyway, this particular one is going to be 4 gallons, and I'm using 2 pounds of brown sugar. I'm going to be using 2 pounds of white sugar,